Okay, so thank you all for coming to Ernie, to our offices. We are glad to have you here. Also, thank you, Python Barcelona, for trusting us to host this event. I want to start a little bit. I want to introduce a little bit myself. I'm Marc. I'm a data analyst here at Ernie. I have been working on the company for the past 4 years, and on my project, on the beginning, I was doing like data analysis, basic stuff, just SQL Server and Tableau. And then with the time, I have been evolving to become a little bit more end-to-end data analyst, more or less, or analytics engineer, whatever you want to say about this term. It's not what we want to talk about. What we want to talk about here, or what I want to show you, is how the focus from just to being a data analyst that provides an infrastructure for the teams to choose between how to do what with his data, or how to manage, or how to choose and pick decisions, to become more than an orchestrator. So you can be more focused on different tools, not just focusing on working with SQL and then Tableau, or SQL and then Power BI, or Excel and then Power BI, whatever. Instead of having just one data source, you will be able to pick different data sources, merge them, play with them, and introduce new tools to your data domain. That's more or less my focus here. So if you can join me, I will share a little bit, a short presentation, a short demo on how to do that. Let's see. Let me know if you can see my screen. Yeah, everything working? Yeah. Okay, perfect. So what's Airflow? Or Airflow is just an orchestrator. What an orchestration means? It means that you will have like an observer that can see every tool, every element that you have on your company, or in your department, or on your team, and can help you to understand what's happening on which step of a pipeline. Once you have like an orchestration, what you have to change your focus. For example, let me wake a little bit because I'm just focusing on my computer. For example, this is my orchestration. I'm using Airflow. It's free to use. You can try it at home. It comes with a demo. I have used another demo with weather data. I will talk about later a little bit of my demo. But this is what you will see as an orchestration. For example, if you have a DAG that it's called with a pipeline that will say, every day I want to pick data from SQL. I want to pick data also from an API. I want to merge those kind of information. And then I want to know when this data has been loaded to my database, so I can trigger a new job that will pick on Tableau or on a Power BI tool. So it will say, OK, my data is already there. Please bring it here, show it to a dashboard, and send an email, or send a message to a Slack, or make an appointment on a calendar. That's things that you manually need to do. For example, on my beginning of my career, I was every day checking that the jobs on SQL was running, that everything was working fine. But that's not scalable. Once you have more than, for example, 10 dashboards or 10 stakeholders, what do you will do? Every day checking your email, every day checking that everything has been working. It's not manageable. Easily, you will be needed for more help or more hands on your team. And the scalable is not the best way to do it. So what a DAG will do is, OK, you will set the 5, 6, 7, 8 steps that your pipeline will have, and you just say, OK, run it daily, or run it manually, or put a date, and every day will be running. And you only need to check daily. For example, my DAGs are working fine. Yes, everything is fine. I have an error. I can go to security, check the logs. If something failed, it will tell me what has failed, in which moment of the pipeline has failed. So I can go and check the linkage of the data and things like that. Let me show a little bit what I'm saying about that. For example, you can audit your logs. This is super important if you are working with data or with critical information, because if you are checking a dashboard to say, OK, I have the information, and I can provide an answer to a client, or I can see if something is ready to be used. You can check it and see like that. For example, focusing a little bit more on why Airflow is important for us, or for a data analyst, or for a whatever interface with Python that has different APIs, is that you can merge them and work with them and forget about it. You can just set up a DAG one time and everything is done. For example, what I have done here, or how for me the setup and the functional concepts of Airflow works, is you will have a DAG or several DAGs. Each DAG will have tasks. Every task is a step of a pipeline. These steps can be of two types: an operator, that is something that the Airflow has to do, has to make to an application to do, or you can have a sensor. It's something that will be watching what's happening on your background, and whatever is happening, it will decide if something has to be done or not. For example, if you have an Amazon bucket and you have received a new file, you know that the sensor will pick up this file. I have an operator that says that once I receive a file, I need to trigger this transformation of the data. Once this transformation has been done, I will have another sensor that will say, this has been done, let's advise whatever. And you will say, okay, for iPhone, in Airflow, how many connectors I can have? So as you can see, you have a lot of them. A lot of them. Whatever data source that you are working with, probably it has a connector. So it's like import your needs, and you will have it ready for Python, so you can write it a little bit of that. Showing a little bit of the limitations of Airflow, it's an orchestration. That means that if you want to process data here, it's not the best tool of the world. You need to process what's happening, not what is doing it. If you have less than 2 gigabytes, I think it is with SQLite, or 1 gigabyte with Postgres, you will be fine. You can do it. It will use tasks, and it will use write and read XCOMs. That's how it's called on Airflow. It means if it will be writing data or reading data, more or less. But what we want to write or read is if something has been processed correctly, incorrectly, or if it's something pending. That's more or less the data that you want to send to one step to another one, not the data itself. The data itself, it needs to be in another container. So my project demo setup. I have an API, is the weather one. So you can check which is the weather in one city. I only want to check the weather in Barcelona, just one row. It's only for demos purposes. And what we want to do is, okay, I will be able to do an HTTP request. That means that you can connect to whatever API that you have. If you have a custom application with an endpoint, you can connect to that endpoint as well. Then you can use an operator that will extract that API information. I have also a transformer that what we will do is transform the data. That's something that is not on the DAG itself. It's another Python script, or it's another application. That means that you can connect to whatever Python you are writing. So the application will be transforming and more or less moving the data itself. And once you have the data transformed or cleaned, I will load them to a new operator that it's a SQL database. So what more or less what I'm doing is, okay, I have my orchestration. It will say the API call has been done correctly or not. Once that API has provided me the information that I want, it will be, okay, I have more. This step is done. Please go ahead and do the other operation. That will be transform that data so I can store it on the Postgres database. And you will say, okay, how complex? It's a DAG. Because you are talking about DAGs, you need to write, but what exactly do you need to write? What is the minimum that you need to do? For example, in my opinion, the minimum, for example, is to print that something is working. So you need to import, always you need to import something. In this case, Airflow, you will have always the DAG, then the operators, the list of operators that I have shown later. Yes? Yeah, sure, of course. Let me, yeah, better? Yeah. Thank you for telling me. So you will import your operator. In my case, this is only one. Then you will see that I have the Postgres or the Snowflake or the Amazon Web, whatever importers that you need. Each step will have his own. And then you can import your models to work with whatever code that you want. So your Python script itself will be there. And the most important part of the code, the key, it's not important. I will remove them afterwards. So you will be able to connect to your API, like saying, okay, to me, I want to extract my data, but I need to tell the DAG how to extract it, how to transform it, how to load it. So we go to the DAG itself. You will say, okay, I want my DAG named ETL, whether print, I forgot, whatever. I will have a description. I will have a start date. This is important that the start date needs to be previous that when you are writing the DAG. If you don't do that, once you finish it, it will not be running because the date is not done yet. Also, you can schedule the interval with cron. If you want to say, I want a daily, hourly, every 3 days, weekly, whatever, or I want to do it manually. So you can schedule there what do you want. Then you can put a tag here, like, okay, I want to be able to search it and to put whatever I'm working it. And more or less, that's all. Once you have your operator, that will be the container of all the tasks that you are doing, you will say, my first task is the extract. If you will see, I will say, okay, my Python catable is my extract. So I need to point which function it needs to be called. So the first step will say, it will start with the first function of the code, and then what has to do the next. So I will provide context. That means that when it's finished the first step, I will send data to my next step. And then my next step said, okay, I will call my function that is my transform. The task ID will be transformed. And then I want to provide context as well to the load. So my data is not, I'm not moving the API data. I'm moving that has been a success, it's a fail, what is happening on my DAG. And on the end, you say, I will start for the extract, then the transform, then the load. That's it. Once you go to your Airflow, you can run it. I think it was this one. You trigger it. I have it manually. That's not more important. And it will say, okay, I have been starting with my Python operator. The duration is nothing because it's just one row. So it goes super fast. And here you can say, okay, which are my steps and what has failed? In case if you have more than 3 or 20 steps, you want to know what's happened there. So you can visualize it here. You will be having more information. But for me, what I want to be focused on is be in mind that you can do whatever steps that you need on your transformation. Usually, for me as a data analyst, what I'm doing always is the same 3 steps, but with a lot of middle steps to check that the data is always the same. I'm using, for example, dbt instead of a Python transform operation. I'm using also, instead of a load to a Postgres, I will have a Snowflake, for example, or I will create whatever I want, so that the operation itself will be more and more and more complicated. But if you are not working as a data analyst and you are working just as I want to check my football results. I want to see if one footballer is lowering the prices and I can buy them, for example. So you can say, okay, I want to connect to an API that will be the website with information or with the football results. Once I have that results, I want to transform the data so it's more clear for me because the API maybe will bring a lot of data. And I want, instead of loading it, I want to receive a Telegram message saying this player is now in a sale. That can be a DAG as well. And you can have a lot of different operations with that kind of information. More or less, you can check the code as well here in case that you say something is wrong, what's it? I want to double check it. And for example, going with a more complex DAG will be, for example, this one with a SQL connection. As you can see, the code is super similar to whatever I have shown. We'll have import to a decorator, the transformer with the wizard. Okay. So I'm creating the database. It's the only difference that before I didn't have it. The DAG will see the same. I don't have a schedule because this is manually. I will start date something before today. I don't want to catch up it. I want to put a tag here. I want to show a little bit of information of why I'm doing here. This is more or less the same extract, the same task here. For transform, it's the same operation. The load is a little bit different because here you need to load data to a database. So it's where you will have more information. You will need to complicate your code a little bit. Instead of writing something, you will need that. If you want, as I said, to save the information to another application, you will need here to connect to that application to tell the DAG how to do that. In case that you want something different, that more or less is. And if you have some questions, something that I can clarify or something like that, please go ahead and let me know. Because right now I will give you these moments for you because everything that I wanted to say is this. That the code itself is not that complex. You can try that yourself. You don't need to be a data analyst to play with it. You don't need to be a seasoned data engineer as well to play with a DAG transformation. And if you have different Excel files, different emails that you are receiving, or different data that you want to move between applications, this is the easiest way to be able to orchestrate all your information and just to have like a command to check it. So thank you for your patience, for your time, or anything. I will be here until 9.